Moikka moi! It's Riikka Kovasin here with another video. This time I'm making altered things. They're quite flat in a way to be altered, but still. I'm making first some jelly printed tissue paper for collaging and then combining the papers with these wooden frames to make some mixed media bookmarks. Usually I save this to the end of the video, but this time let's do a little bit differently. If you enjoy the video, please consider subscribing and hit that bell sign to be notified when a new video comes live. But yeah, as you can see, I'm working on my small jelly plate and creating patterns for tissue paper. I had chosen a bunch of acrylic colors and I'm one by one adding them to these smaller pieces of tissue paper I cut out earlier. There's no rhyme or reason why I'm choosing to put turquoise and then pink. I'm just building layers using a couple of different stencils to add those patterns there to keep some of the paper open for the collaging on top of the wood, so the wood kind of shows through. But in places I also use solid layers, so it's just building these fun papers which I can then use in multiple ways. When I then had a stack of papers done, it's time to start the collaging. I choose a couple of these wooden little sticks. They're kind of popsicle sticks but with a pattern on top. And I'm starting by adding some stamping to the background, because my idea is that this will kind of peek through when there's the openings in the tissue paper and thus give some contrast to the end result. Then I tear the tissue paper to smaller pieces and start collaging them on top. Well, some of the stamps still show through, but not enough. So after I have covered the whole thing with the papers, I'm actually adding a little bit more stamping on top to bring more contrast to these. I'm using a matte medium for adhering the tissue pieces in place and kind of sandwiching the tissue paper between the layers of the medium. When I then had the collaging done and added, as you could see, a little bit of stamping on top, I chose some word stickers that in my mind went with reading a book. So for example, there's this finding another world, which kind of, well, sometimes the stories can be really captivating, or place for thought, or then just one more, which is often what happens to me when I'm reading. Just one more and one more and one more page. So I add those texts in place. But the little sticks seem quite bare still, so I'm bringing my Posca pens to the crafting table and start adding little marks here and there with different Posca colors. There's just some dots here and some lines there, but this is kind of a fun and even meditative phase when I can just doodle and, well, have fun with the colors. The medium I used to collage the tissue papers in place wasn't thoroughly dry in some places, so I used a heat tool so I won't ruin my pens. When I then have all the doodling done, I then used a crocodile to make holes to these little sticks and then threaded some embroidery thread through to make, well, these kind of tails to each one. I then turned the end into a kind of a tassel by fraying the embroidery thread. And there they are, 4 handmade mixed media bookmarks. I guess you remember how many times I've told that I like dimensional layers, but with this project that really wasn't an option because then the bookmark wouldn't work anymore. Well, maybe I could have added something to the top, which is kind of peeking out of the book, but still, flat layers and kind of visual texture this time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll be seeing you next week with another process video. Have a great summer, and bye for now.